we as black people, we need a healing or even just to create a dialogue on the situation. You know, just to let people know to share your thoughts on what's actually went on or took place because some people cold. They was cold in what they did, man. And we see the evidence that it actually worked. It worked. They knew that we was dealing with scientists. Think about it. We coming out of slavery, not able to read or write, right? And then you got these scientists who had a jump on us, and they looking back at us and said, okay, look, we're going to put this in their way. We want to keep them at a certain state. We don't want the competition, and we don't want them to compete with us. So let's create things and put them in a negative light. And, you know what I mean? And in a situation like that. So what you were saying was profound, though, on that, because people need to hear that, man. Like you said, we got to help each other in the whole. But what you were saying, though, that the thought...
Well, I mean, what I was saying is that you have to look at how they broke it down. And that's how you try to figure out what an equation is, because it has several pieces that are just compressed into one. So here they're saying a long-term mental disorder of a type involving a breakdown in relation, meaning they're related to each other. They're all connected. And that's what 360 degrees is. It's a connection of 4 squares, 90, 90, 90. 90 times 4 is 360. But those are all the components. We're a very complex being, but they came at us at a very complex way. Here we are, a long-term mental disorder of a type involving a breakdown in relation between thought, that's 1, emotion, that's 2, behavior, that's 3, leading to a faulty perception. So just those 3 things alone that are not connected or related to each other leads a type of mental disorder. A disorder is with dis and order. It's out of order. It is out of place. It leads to leading to faulty perception, inappropriate actions, and feelings. Those 3 things that they're telling you that these 3 things that are not connected in the correct way, in the correct order of its being, of itself, of what it is, how it functions. That's where you get the word the opposite, malfunction, because it is not functioning properly. And we have a very hard time listening to anyone or talking to anyone who wants to talk about our mental disorders. It's out of place. It's not functioning properly. That's dis-ease. We're no longer at comfort in this environment, especially in the hood. Even if you move out to a place where there is a multicultural type of neighborhood, still we are feeling certain pressures as black people to conform and to do things a certain way. And it's not our way, it's not our moral way, it's not our norm, it's not completely, our language is not completely who we are. But there's a catch-22. You go back to the hood, it's worse.
But change is hard.
Change is hard, but it is necessary.
Right, but since they created a system that threw our mental state off, it's hard to go back or fight against that because you've been doing it so long, and then here's some new information.
But when God sends you somebody to help you, you are not to make it hell on the helper. But this is what a lot of times happens. Because you're but this person is sent here to help, especially if you have some kind of belief in God. And there's several types, but just as long as there is a belief in God. But as long as you have some kind of belief in God, you should know that this is one that moves different, acts different, speaks different, carries themselves different. So you're not dealing with a person, that is problematic and has the same problem. Anybody that takes you and tries to elevate you and move you to a different realm, a different paradigm, you get stuck in that and you fight who God sent you to help you reach that. That means that the soul loss is even deeper than you even understand.
But it's like the elderly people would say, you stuck in your stew. They stuck in their stew, and you right, and they don't know how to get themselves out of it, or don't want to get themselves out of it, or they stuck.
It's at a certain point now. It's like for those who just there was an instinct, there was an intuition, and it grew from there.
Right.
And there's an understanding. Then yes, you do understand that this person probably came here with this consciousness. This person probably came here to live that. So those of us who are trying to ascend, we have to leave them. We have to let them sit there. We have to let them stew. And it's a catch-22 for us because it's very heartbreaking. You would love the company. You would love the soldier in peace. You would love someone who would fight for the same type of peace that you would fight for. But you understand after a while, you cannot do anything about it, and you end up losing your whole life trying to get someone to understand that it's better to be organized. It's better to be at peace with the mind. It's better to get those things, to figure out what your mental problem is, because we all have one, and we all have one that we need to recognize, deal with, and try to make better. And when you try to make it better for you, you make it better for the next generations of black people that are here.
The example. But it's hard to sit and see black on black crime, black man killing another black man, or a black man selling a black female into sex trafficking,
Okay, but see, this is what I'm saying. This is where it starts at home. Nothing cannot. The structure must be built at home. And everyone must be on at least the same accord when it comes to certain things, and that starts with the parents. There's a unification between the parents, and then the children would learn from that unification, and then they will grow stronger as a unit. So if it is not strong at home, and then depending on how strong the mental disorders and dysfunctions are in that home, then that's the more fragmented that your children would be. And they go out and they attract these types of other dysfunction and lowbrow behavior and lowbrow mentality, and they're attracted to these low things because everything starts within the home. And if the home, the more broken and dysfunctional and fragmented the parents are, they create that fragmentation within their children. And then their children go out into the world and they draw to themselves these types of dysfunctional situations and behaviors, people that will do low and guttural things. But you've already set them up for that within the home. But nobody wants to you have a very hard time getting black women. We're going to start with the woman, because the woman is extremely important. Again, she is the first teacher. And our bodies are a recorder. So whatever dysfunction, hurt, trauma, or whatever that he and she are packing within the body, that's why Farrakhan gave you How to Raise a God, because he studied this when I was still a star in the sky. He knew this. He knew if you didn't try to turn yourself around, if you didn't have something within your DNA recording or something within your mind to combat the dysfunction that we were placed up under in this country with these people, with these new beings on the planet, you are going to create another dysfunctional being. He gave you the answers to that in that video. What was that, in the 80s?
Yeah, how to give birth to a God.
Right, how to give birth to a God, because he understands whatever it was within you. But he came down further in the line and gave you Dianetics. Do you see how to raise God and because Dianetics is a recalling of the mind and what happened to you and pulling out the trauma that was within. Do you see how that video connects with what Farrakhan was saying just in the preceding years after?
Right.
He's been on this thought. Nobody's paying attention. He's been on that thought for a long time. He knows about DNA, trauma. It being passed down in the cells, the memory, the mindset, the actions, the attitude. Because everybody say, oh yeah, I had a fucked up childhood. I had this kind of problem. I had that, but I'm over it now. I don't think about it. No, it's a part of who you are. It became a part of your molecular cellular structure. And you're going to act it out. Because that's just what it is for you to do. It's just there. It's just who you are. You are going to be that. You are going to act that. Why do you have moments of rage? Or why do you have moments of depression? Why do you cry? Why do you hit your kids that way? Why do you talk this way? Why do you end up in that kind of trouble? Why do you end up with them kind of problems? Because it's a part of who you are, and there was nothing there to correct it.
So you saying that the families need knowledge to combat against the negative images and stereotypes that come through the media, through the TV. If the child is sitting at home watching television, and a negative image comes through that child, it stays there because there's nothing to combat or say, well, no, this is not. Meaning those wicked scientists who create these shows to purposely manipulate the mind of black people to control them. If you can't combat that, then that's stuck. It's gonna lay hold and take effect on that child.
Everything that you just said is a fact. But my message is, and what I'm always saying to people, it starts with acknowledging what your problem is. If you can't, it is the scientist's fault. They are responsible. They will never get off the hook. But if you don't sit down and figure out what the hell your problem is, it's always going to be just somebody else's fault. It's always going to be the other person. And you therefore are not, you're not, you have to contribute to this with your full self. And if you're not looking at who you are and what your problem is and acknowledging it, meaning admit it, I have this problem. And now I am going to find solutions and ways to work on it. Every time you look to somebody else and negate yourself and push yourself to the side, that really is another form of dysfunction. That is another form of self-deprivation. That is another form of self-loathing. Every time you try to go to the next person to figure a solution out or try to figure out what the problem is, you need to start looking within.
True, but it's like
you have to stay there. You cannot. Don't move. Don't move. Stay right there and start looking at what your problem is, how you were raised, and who did what. Stay there. Don't move. Start looking within.
True.
That's it.
But it's like you said. Some people confuse perception with reality. So what they perceive to be.
We're getting away. We're pandering into more self-neglect. When you've got to look within and you've got to acknowledge what it is your problem is, and then you have to start dealing with the solution. And then the true putrefaction process, the purifying process begins to take place. But you are nothing more than another cancer cell waiting to meet up with the other ones and metastasize and just completely annihilate, kill yourself or whoever it is that you're around. Because you will not face the fact that you are problematic. You have some type of mental disorder that you are dealing with that you refuse to acknowledge, and you are nothing more than a talking point or a bullet point. You can say all this, but if you don't go through the process of self and healing self, if you continue to neglect the self, you will not be a part of the healthy cells. Right. The healthy cells will always fight you back. The white blood cells, the T cells, the healthy cells, always, God gave you a mechanism to fight what is bad and wrong within you. And if you're trying to move within the community with one black body, you will always get opposition because those healthy cells recognize who the cancerous cells are that we just do. and it's never going to change. And no matter how much you try to talk over it, no matter how much you try to deflect, no matter how much you got a bunch of people that they're cancerous too, they're cantankerous too. And it will always be a fight.
True, but my point is the image or the perception that was given to black people, they made wrong seem right. Then you have people who come with that truth or with right, but the false perception that they believe is true. It's like the pride goes before the fall. One has a book of truth that has the knowledge and information and everything in it that person can grow and learn from, but through this false imagery that was given upon black people, they thinking that this is the right way to go. But when they get older, they realize, oh damn man, I should have took this path instead of this path. I was following white Jesus, or that white perception of what this world is about or what reality is. And it catches them every time towards the end.
Yeah.
And because you had Malcolm saying we're not gonna integrate. But you had those who said, "No, we gonna integrate." Now, if you listen to the elders, they saying, "Well, maybe integration wasn't such a good idea." Well, goddamn, we done went through the whole.
Yeah, but here again, we're dealing with other than self. And right now,
but that's self because because the thought projections of a body or individuals who believe. What they're doing is right.
It starts within the home. If the parents had a certain type of knowledge and understanding of self, then well, what I'm saying,
that's the wall.
Yeah,
that's
but see, then that would not be. But see, what I'm telling you is what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to start looking at self.
Right, today's time. What happened in the past, it happened in the past.
No,
now
it's
you have
happening
to look
today.
at,
The very things that you were talking about are still happening. It's just that the players in the game have changed.
But what I'm saying, the founders who created that negative mindset, that started in the past. And they carried over into today.
Okay, so here you said negative mindset.
Right, that they created.
Okay, so we're dealing with the mindset. So why don't you go get a book about the mind?
There you go.
Why don't you go get?
You know why?
Why don't you go get a book about to see if the way that you're thinking adds to the dysfunction of the planet, or if there's a solution that people are neglectful to go towards. Then you'll know which side of reality that you live on.
True. Well, the way that's gonna happen is somebody gonna have to create a movie dealing with the power of the mind in order, because they so locked in. They so locked in their television. They gotta become popular.
But see,
because we're faddish people.
We are.
The fad, the mind. The aspects of the mind have to become popular where people can get into that, and then they have to see the benefits from it, and then they'll grasp a hold of it. Because if they don't, somebody's gonna put out another slave movie, another butler movie, another movie where sisters half naked, and another movie where the black man is killing another black man. Somebody gotta combat that, because we glued into this media. We make the perception on TV.
Again, God sends you somebody a lot of times.
That's
and
right.
God comes to you in several different ways, through several different mediums or facets, or however you want to say it. When a person is locked in, because I know I've said several times to several people, let the voting process go. Let it go. I posted it on my page. Let it go. You're participating in something that yields very little return, but it takes a lot of energy out of you, and a lot of Now it's not just, it's not just mental, it's emotional for black people.
What about the ones who say, well, black folk died?
Voting, right, and there it becomes extremely emotional because now you feel like you're not doing your part because there were a couple of deaths associated with a meaningless process. And if it called for somebody to die, it should be less of our involvement in it. But they trick you into telling you, oh, these are the things that'll happen if you don't vote. Well, they continue to vote. You continue to vote, and it continues to happen to you anyway. I have said several times, this is not even a reciprocal relationship between black people and this system. It doesn't. There's no reciprocation here. We extend so much energy, we extend so much emotion, we extend so much physicality. We gotta get to the votes, we gotta walk, we gotta march, we gotta run, we gotta, drive. Those are physical energies that you have to put into this process. So here we go. We're back into the definition, a long-term mental disorder of a type involving a breakdown in relation between the thought. We have so much mental energy that we have to put towards voting. The emotion, somebody died. If we don't go back and live this legacy that the ancestors died for, that's where they got us number 3. And then here it is, and behavior. So the behavior towards voting, we must vote. We're going to put that physical aspect into it. We got to run, march, walk, drive, do whatever it is. It's schizophrenic right here. They said it. A long-term mental disorder of a type involving a breakdown in relation between thought, emotion, and behavior. So we do these erratic behaviors. We torment other black people where then you're not voting. So you're not expending these energies and efforts that you don't even get a reciprocation from. And so now they tell us, well, you need your money, your backing. Again, another irrational thought, action, and emotion. So I don't know, the definition is just extremely plain, it's just extremely clear. Right. But they will they'll hear all of that truth. And it makes sense. And it didn't come from me exactly. But you're after you end this conversation with this person that is in this delusion, and I didn't put this out, it was the delusion of inclusion. So before you're going to be disvalued, you're going to be disrespected, you're going to, there's a lot of different things they're going to do to you after having this conversation. And they're going to go right back and vote. And they're going to go right back and have a conversation about voting. And they're going to talk about the pluses and what did you get for your vote. And they won't be able to break down the specifics. They'll just be able to name. They've gotten a little bit more, smarter with the thing. Not that it's necessarily smart, but they at least can come up with something. Now, well, what do you get out of voting? What exactly does it do for you? And it's nothing, it's an empty symbolism. It's nothing but a feel-good notion. So when you feel good about something that's not actually true, it's called a fantasy or delusion. That's what it calls. When you feel good about something that's empty and really doesn't do anything for you, and sometimes it may materialize something, but that wasn't the reason why you got the material. You got the material because you made up your mind you were going to get it, whatever state or faction the government or economy seem to be in. If you want a pair of shoes, whether the economy is high or low, you're going to find a way to get those pairs of shoes. You're going to find a way to get the house. You're going to find a way to get the car. It doesn't have anything to do with the state of the economy. It never has. It has something to do with the intellect and willpower of the individual. Unless the government comes down and locks your doors and put a lock on your account, okay, the government stopped you at that point. But you're probably not that significant to the government to where they would do that to you. So all they have to do is say a few words, a spelling, and then your mind is up under that spell. But again, let's get back to the delusion. Let's get back to the fantasy. You're in a fantasy. You're delusional, meaning your mind has been fragmented, and in that piece of glass, that shard glass or whatever, you see something that really isn't there. And these are the problems that you have. That's the macrocosm, but it also dwindles down to the microcosm, to the everyday family. Again, I was just saying, my mother always wanted me to play this role because somebody broke her a long time ago, and the only way she can cope in this reality is by creating several different fantasies and several different facets of her personality. She's more than one person. A lot of black people are more than one person. Around these people, they have to be about 10 to 19. Around this person, they have to be, 26 to 32. Around this person, that's why she would always tell me, you ain't that grown. You grown enough to where you can do things that help me get what I want. But when it comes to correcting my behavior or you coming out of the character that I appointed for you, then you need to get back in place. You need to get back to what I established for you.
Well, it's a slave master. That sounds like it's
the macrocosm that influenced the micro.
Right.
It goes on and on and on. And when you get to telling me, but I'm a keyboard thug. I'm a keyboard internet. But the way that I am in life is the way I am on any of my social media, because I'm not just this out and out freedom warrior. I do speak for peace and justice, and for true justice. Not a justice that just benefits myself. A justice that benefits everybody. And these are not just talking points. And a lot of this stuff I live by. Am I perfect with it? Absolutely not. But God didn't even ask for perfection if you in this form. So you can get off of that bullshit. If he puts you in this form, if we fail from God to be in this, he don't expect perfection out of you. It's just impossible. It ain't gonna happen, and that's a form of delusion.
It's just
you can be the best you can be. You can be the best that you can be. You can strive at that. Right. But we take the word perfection a little too serious, and we're a little too connected to something that we would never be in this particular.
Right. Actually, it's using all the gifts that he gave you, the power that you have. Use it to the fullest, because ye are God's children of the Most High God. So use your gifts and your talent. It's there for a reason. You can call things into existence just with your mind. The power of that mind, So yeah, I agree. That's what I'm talking about. Basically, food for thought, something people can grow on and build on. It was well said, and it needed to be said. That was food for the mind, and I know people enjoy it because people need that truth, but they need truth coming from a different perspective, or not what they hearing every day, because every day it gets mundane, and you need a fresh, powerful voice to drop that science and that truth. Like you said, to help people along their way. That's what we're talking about. That was all right.